shouldn't be crying, it's such a great thing. But I'm forever grateful for this lesson, as it brought me new friends that I might never have found. My grandpa was called to noticing people and being a witness to their lives. This was his ministry and his way of living out his faith.
So I guess what we all are kind of doing up here is in a way trying to affirm how Dave's legacy is being carried forward in each of our lives as scholars, as ministers, as people who minister in beautiful ways outside of the four walls of a sacred building, etc. So I want to just say, I just want to say very briefly that a legacy that I am carrying forward with my dad, from my dad, is a twofold one. It is his passion for justice and his love of music. We sang as a family in the car when we traveled. These trips to Lake Michigan were long and tedious. And we got through it singing. And that was, I learned from all the singing we did together, the power that people coming together in song has to change a whole atmosphere. We could be tense, grumpy, hungry in the car. We'd start singing and the whole energy would shift. And I got to learn there is something about harmony, about different voices joining at different pitches and all coming together that is greater than the parts. The whole is greater than the parts. And so in my life, I spend time out singing in the streets for political justice and social justice. I lead people in song to have that magic, to share the magic that I had growing up in my family, that singing together heals, empowers, inspires, just changes things. It changes you inside. And that is one of the many, many, many gifts that my dad has given to me. So we wanted to share with you a favorite song that we sang on those long car trips from Rock Springs, Wyoming to Lake Michigan. So if the Roses would come on up, and please, it's in your program. We'd love to have you sing with us this beautiful cowboy farewell song.
I'm Mary, and I just want to share just a few things as you're getting this panorama of Dad's life and gifts and all of the ways that he touched us as a family and touched all of you. I think from my earliest days as a young child, I felt the need of a world that was in harmony. I kind of came into this world with a lot of love and a lot of appreciation for the beauty of this world. And I won't tell you some of the things that I collected, but among them were snakes. Slugs, too, by the way, when I was really little. So I had this love and appreciation for the beauty of the world. And I was really very, very shocked. I can remember being shocked when I learned about war. And when I learned that people were divided by race, by their last names, by money, by property, by where they lived. I was horrified when I understood the heartlessness that leaves some to die while others feast. I was confused and many times in my life anguished by these realities of our world. But even in this anguish, which our family shares and all of you share, I was able, through the vision of my dad and my parents and the churches that we grew up in his ministry, to see and understand a vision, that there is another vision of a world that is radically aligned toward justice, compassion, generosity, and grace. Dad loved the Beatitudes, and I'm sure you've heard him talk about them. He loved that this church had a whole curriculum in the 50s around the Beatitudes, and he saw that as really the roadmap of the kingdom. I'm going to skip a little bit here. I wanted to just share a little bit as an illustration of how Dad walked through his life. He really walked the Beatitudes in his life, and I think you're hearing that. So a little bit, I had the opportunity myself to write some of the words of his ministry on our website. And for me, it was just a wonderful way to think about all of the decades that Dad's ministry spanned and the events that were going on in the world that he was called to minister to. And I will say that there were some churches where his call to minister to the issues of the world were not welcome. And there was one in particular where I think he left because his heart was broken by the response of the people to the compassion that he was asking this community and the welcome that he was asking this community to give in the time of the civil rights movement. But here's just a little note. Dad, as you know, had some wanderlust, and I wrote, wanderlust can be a good thing, but you have to go to the right places. To our mother's dismay, Dad took a church in Rock Springs, Wyoming. A dusty crossroad where sheep herders, coal miners, and cowboys and railroad workers all jostled for land, survival, and a place at the bar. Dad never took the easy churches, the ones with the big budgets. He liked to be with people and to be a voice of comfort, of uplift, and exhortation on occasion. And he was a builder of community. Everywhere he and Mom went, they brought the larger world with them. They took young people on trips to meet others in the UCC family and to see other parts of our country. They were advocates for compassion and hospitality, whether it was your next-door neighbor, the hobo who just got off the train, the impoverished, the challenged, struggling families, dusty kids. Isn't that where we're all called to walk? And that's where Dad walked in his life, over all those many decades. We all carry within us this deep longing for a world of compassion that builds up rather than tears down, that feeds life and nurtures hope, and rejoices in the beauty of this earth and its creatures and its cultures. Dad helped us know ourselves as part of the great story of humankind and the Jesus story. Not the Jesus of dogma, but Jesus, the lover of humankind. The man who inspires us, the man who inspires us to see and hear the call of creation and Creator, to set the table for the hungry, to protect the innocent, to walk the humble and gentle walk, to be peacemakers, to cry out for justice. He taught us to align ourselves with the kingdom of God here on earth and to be beacons of hope in a world beset with darkness. And in Dad's final days, this was the message that he really wanted to share with all of you and with the world. And Bo's going to say a little bit more about that.